Today's recap is about the latest Korean hit drama, Perfect Crown. A luxury convertible pulls up and out steps a stunning girl dressed in a blazing red suit. She confidently poses for the cameras, even though wearing red inside the palace is considered forbidden. Back at her company, the PR team quickly uses the attention to boost sales, causing the outfit to sell out almost instantly. Their risky marketing strategy becomes a huge success. Earlier, in the company meeting room, Haiju showed everyone how smart and ruthless she could be. Since sales were dropping badly, she ordered every department to increase profits no matter what. Some teams were told to spread scandals about competitors, while others reduced supplies on purpose to create fake shortages and make customers panic buy. They even released headlines claiming that the future successor of Castle Group would attend the royal banquet. Although Haiju had not officially inherited the position yet, even though Haiju was born into a wealthy family, she still carried deep insecurity about her background. In this alternate world, the Joseon dynasty never disappeared. Instead, it survived for over 600 years and became a constitutional monarchy. The royal family no longer controls politics, but they still represent the highest social class in the country. Despite her riches, Haiju is looked down on because she is the illegitimate daughter of a powerful chairman, making her nothing more than a commoner in noble society. Since it was the king's birthday, Haiju used the royal event as a chance to save her company's image by turning herself into the center of attention. But the palace was filled with strict class divisions, where only royals and elite nobles belonged. At the banquet, several arrogant noblewomen mocked Haiju, insulting her for being an illegitimate child who was only accepted into the family at age 10. They called her shameless, uneducated, and low class, but Haiju refused to stay quiet. With a cold smile, she suddenly smashed a glass in front of them, showing fearless confidence. Soon after, her half-brother Taeju appeared and tried to insult her too. Without hesitation, Haiju fired back, calling him nothing more than a pathetic and foolish servant pretending to be important. As the birthday celebration continued, everyone gathered inside the grand hall, waiting in complete silence for the ceremony to begin. The person everyone was waiting for was Grand Prince Ian. After the former king, who was also Ian's older brother, passed away, the throne went to the late king's young son. Since the new king was still just a child, all real authority was placed in the hands of his uncle, Grand Prince Ian, who now ruled as regent. When Ian finally appeared, he completely shocked the crowd. Instead of wearing a formal royal outfit, he arrived dressed in hunting clothes, ignoring palace traditions entirely. His wild and rebellious aura stood out against the stiff and serious atmosphere of the ceremony, making him seem dangerous yet incredibly charismatic. Meanwhile, the entire nation celebrated the king's birthday with bright lights and festivals across the city. The biggest event of the night was the river firework ritual. The young king wrote down his wish and handed it to Ian, who began the ceremony. As glowing sparks rained across the water, the breathtaking scene left everyone speechless. After the fireworks ended, the royal gathering became more relaxed. During a walk, Haiju met her longtime friend Jong-woo, who also happened to be the nation's prime minister. While they joked together, Jong-woo was suddenly called away to meet Grand Prince Ian. Before leaving, he revealed an important secret. The Queen Dowager was pressuring Ian to get married soon. If Ian ever gets married, he would immediately lose his position as regent and be forced to leave the palace. Hearing this, Prime Minister Jong-woo starts panicking because all the political pressure and royal responsibilities Ian currently handles would suddenly fall onto him instead. But Ian calmly tells Jong-woo to use his authority as prime minister to block the marriage proposal. It turns out Ian had planned this from the beginning and only teased Jong-woo to watch him panic. At the same time, Haiju wanders through the palace searching for a phone signal when she unexpectedly runs into Grand Prince Ian. With a cold expression, Ian demands to know who she is. The moment she introduces herself, he accuses her of entering a restricted area and orders her to leave immediately. Before walking away, he casually reminds her that she was once his junior back in school, leaving Haiju completely stunned. Suddenly, thick smoke rises through the palace, followed by a huge explosion. Ian rushes toward the scene and finds part of the palace engulfed in flames. The Queen Dowager immediately slaps him across the face, without even asking questions. Furious, she accuses him of trying to kill another king, showing that she still believes Ian was responsible for her husband's death in the past. Thankfully, the young king survives unharmed, but the disaster forces the royal celebration to end early. Annoyed and exhausted, Haiju returns home in a terrible mood. Her secretary notices her frustration and jokingly asks if she secretly hates Grand Prince Ian. That question reveals the two actually shared a tense history during their school days. Back in high school, Haiju once sneaked into the archery range late at night to practice for an upcoming competition. But no matter how hard she tried, none of her arrows could hit the target. Feeling discouraged, she suddenly encountered senior student Ian. Just like in the present day, he spoke to her with a cold attitude, asking for her name and status before accusing her of breaking school rules by leaving the dorm after curfew and using the range without permission. As punishment, he threatened to deduct 30 behavior points from her record. But Haiju refused to back down. She stared directly at Ian and boldly asked why he should escape punishment too when he was standing there breaking the exact same rules. When Ian confidently shows his special VIP pass, Haiju becomes even more annoyed. She refuses to accept the unfairness of it all. The archery range was supposed to be closed for private practice, but a noble classmate had proudly shown off the key earlier, so Haiju secretly borrowed it to train. Seeing Ian freely enter with his royal privileges only convinces her that the rules exist only to control ordinary people like her. Frustrated, Haiju boldly says that she will take every chance she can get, no matter what. To her, winning through dirty methods is still better than losing while playing fair. Before leaving, she gives the Grand Prince a respectful bow, but the anger burning in her eyes makes it clear she cannot stand him. Back in the present, Ian is struggling with the pressure of the forced marriage plan. The next day, the Queen Dowager visits him to apologize for slapping him during the fire incident. However, their conversation quickly turns tense again. She points out that even after a massive palace fire nearly killed the young king, the entire country only cared about the tiny scratch on Ian's face. Because Ian holds the power of regent, everyone in the nation is obsessed with him. Government officials, wealthy business leaders, and even ordinary citizens all compete for his attention and approval. His influence shines so brightly that the young king himself is slowly being ignored. The Queen Dowager sees Ian as a dangerous threat to the throne. To weaken his power and remove him from the center of attention, she plans to force him into marriage with a woman she can fully control like a puppet. Hearing the Queen Dowager's words, a brief look of sadness appears in Ian's eyes. When he was younger, he always obeyed his father and focused only on studying. He earned top grades and worked harder than anyone. But because he was the second son, his father never praised him. The king constantly kept Ian in the shadows to make sure he would never challenge the crown prince for the throne. He even removed Ian's royal title twice just to remind him of his place. Behind his powerful image and glamorous reputation, Ian's life was far more painful and lonely than people realized. At the same time, Haiju is also dealing with pressure about marriage. Her chairman father is trying to arrange a wedding for her, but the rumored groom is only a small company manager with little status or influence. Furious, Haiju openly rebels against the idea. She has no interest in romantic fairy tales, but she is willing to accept a business marriage if it benefits both sides significantly. In her eyes, the families involved must match in power, wealth, and status. Her sister-in-law tells her to stop being so picky, but Haiju instantly fires back with a sharp insult. She claims her sister-in-law's low standards are exactly why she ended up marrying Haiju's useless older brother. Haiju coldly says that without the title of being the chairman's first son, her brother would never deserve to stand beside her in the first place. She also suspects her father is using this marriage to push her out of the family business, so the company can eventually be handed over to her incompetent brother. Without holding back, Haiju directly tells her father that she refuses to marry a worthless man. Still angry, Haiju heads to work and vents her frustration on the department managers, leaving everyone terrified. Soon, Secretary Du brings her a list of wealthy marriage candidates. But after reading through it, Haiju becomes even more disappointed. Although the men all carried impressive job titles, their companies were small and unimportant. To make matters worse, she found none of them attractive or useful enough to benefit her future. Feeling completely drained, Haiju can only let out a long sigh. Haiju dreams of finding the perfect man, someone wealthy, talented, and handsome enough to truly match her. After seeing the public become obsessed with Grand Prince Ian's rebellious charm despite criticism from the royal elites, She realizes he is the only man in the country who fits her standards and decides to marry him. She repeatedly sends requests to meet Ian, but he rejects everyone. At first, she uses only her name, then her family status, and later even claims their meeting could help the nation. Still, Ian refuses without hesitation. Frustrated, Haiju remembers that Ian once called her his school junior, so she changes her approach and politely asks for guidance as his former junior. This time, Ian finally agrees to meet her. At the palace, Ian coldly asks why she tried so hard to see him. The story then flashes back to their school days during an archery tournament, where Ian quietly helped students practice by keeping the training grounds open. Haiju improved quickly, and, when a noble student insulted her for being a commoner, Ian immediately defended her. During the competition, the king treated Ian coldly while Haiju and Ian faced each other in a tense final round. Back in the present, Haiju suddenly proposes marriage to Ian. Instead of reacting seriously, he points out the many proposals he already receives and asks why he should choose her. Confidently, Haiju lists her wealth, intelligence, beauty, and ability to protect him from scandals, even promising a peaceful divorce if needed. Her bold honesty finally makes Ian laugh, but he still rejects her, claiming he values love more than status or money, though Haiju can tell he is mostly teasing her. Even after being rejected, Haiju refuses to give up. Realizing Ian dislikes fake politeness, she decides to chase him openly instead. She investigates his daily schedule and keeps appearing wherever he goes. Whether he is horseback riding, eating breakfast, or volunteering at a cat shelter, Haiju boldly flirts with him and honestly admits she is trying to make him fall in love with her. Although Ian acts annoyed, her constant attention slowly begins affecting him. Meanwhile, Haiju is forced to attend another blind date arranged by her father, who threatens to shut down her beauty company if she refuses again. During the meeting, she shocks the man with her blunt attitude, suggesting immediate marriage and asking if he would sacrifice his entire life to help her reach the top. Terrified by her ambition, the man quickly gives up on the idea. Later, Ian hears about the failed date and feels strangely bothered that Haiju might look for another husband. His assistant also reveals details about her school days, describing her as fearless, hot-tempered, and impossible to defeat. At the same time, Ian continues suffering from painful nightmares about the palace fire that killed his older brother after the queen burned a secret letter about the throne. The memories leave him emotionally broken and unable to sleep for years. While Ian stays away from the palace, the Queen Dowager pressures young King Yun to rule without depending on his uncle. Worried for the boy, Ian secretly rushes to the 2025 Korea Economic Awards after receiving a desperate call from him. In front of the shocked media and royal officials, Ian calmly holds the nervous king's hand and walks beside him into the ceremony. During the event, Chairman Park receives an award, followed by Haiju, who wins the Best Entrepreneur Award for Castle Beauty. After accepting the award from King Yun, she playfully teases Ian and jokingly asks him to reward her privately later. After the awards ceremony, Haiju uploaded selfies with hashtags linked to Grand Prince Ian, quickly drawing massive public attention again. Later, her longtime friend Jong Woo invited her to dinner to celebrate. The two had been close since their Royal Academy days, where Haiju was admired for her intelligence, talent, and archery skills. Jong-woo had quietly fallen for her back then, and his feelings still remained obvious even now. Meanwhile, Ian suddenly suffered from a severe headache, but refused treatment at the royal hospital because he feared the Queen Dowager's spies. By coincidence, Haiju discovers his condition at the same hotel and offered help by bringing her family doctor. That was when she learned Ian had struggled with painful insomnia for years. At the palace, the Queen Dowager harshly scolded young King Yun for relying on Ian. Back at the hotel, Assistant Choi explained to Haiju that Ian hated public attention and avoided treatment because rumors would spread instantly. Suddenly, the Queen Dowager arrived unexpectedly. While trying to hide Haiju, Ian stopped the queen from entering by pretending he was changing clothes. But before leaving, she spotted Haiju's handbag and returned, catching the two together. The next morning, the media exploded with rumors that Ian was secretly dating Haiju. Instead of panicking, Haiju enjoyed the attention while the public spread even wilder gossip online. Soon after, Ian arranged another private meeting with her and apologized for involving her in the scandal. During their conversation, Haiju admitted she always knew Ian had purposely let her win during their old archery competition. Rather than feeling thankful, it wounded her pride because her entire life she had been ignored despite her hard work, while less capable men received power through status and family connections. She confessed that she wanted the title of Grand Princess not for love, but to protect everything she had built herself. After hearing her honest feelings, Ian finally agreed to marry her, though he warned that royal life would bring endless pressure and public scrutiny. Even so, Haiju treated it as a victory and immediately began building the image of a perfect royal romance, proudly holding Ian's hand before reporters as news of their relationship spread across the country. Haiju's makeup style soon became a nationwide trend as she and Ian publicly acted like the perfect royal couple. Ian openly held her hand at the palace and even pretended to be affectionate in front of the staff. When the Queen Dowager questioned their relationship, Ian admitted he liked Haiju and assured her there would be no forced marriage scandal. Later, he joked with Haiju that they needed to act deeply in love so the public would believe their marriage was real. That night, the palace staff prepared separate rooms, but Ian insisted they stay together. After arguing over who would sleep where, they ended up sharing the same bed and fighting over blankets, while the palace maids misunderstood the situation completely. The next morning, Haiju purposely returned to work in the same clothes to fuel dating rumors, causing her fashion style to sell out instantly online. Even hateful comments didn't bother her because she was already used to criticism. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Jong-woo seriously asked if she truly loved Ian, unaware that he had secretly loved her since school. Haiju lied and said yes, even asking for his political support to approve the marriage. Heartbroken, Jong-woo hid his feelings and later admitted in church that he could not genuinely wish for her happiness. At the same time, the Queen Dowager secretly tried to erase dating rumors online, while angry fans blamed Haiju for seducing the Grand Prince. When schoolgirls threw eggs at her, Haiju fiercely scared them away without hesitation. Later, she confronted her father, who still blamed her for destroying the family years ago and refused to ever give her control of the company. Hurt and furious, Haiju threatened to destroy both him and her brother if necessary, though deep inside she only wanted her father's love and approval. Feeling emotionally exhausted, Haiju was surprised when Ian suddenly visited her home, carrying warm bread and a trendy Haiju and Grand Prince meal set. After hearing about the attack on her, Ian decided to move her to his private mansion for safety. Whether he truly cared or was simply continuing their act remained unclear, but Haiju happily played along, hugging him tightly in front of the staff like a woman completely in love. Once they were finally alone, Haiju asked Ian why he agreed to marry her. Ian answered honestly, saying she was beautiful, rich, and the only person who could truly understand him if he ever became king. His unexpected confession shocked Haiju, especially when he openly hinted at his desire for the throne. Meanwhile, the Queen Dowager secretly began her attack. The next morning, Captain Chung and the royal guards arrived at Ian's mansion to arrest Haiju for questioning about the fire during the king's birthday event. With Ian away at Jiao Shrine, Haiju desperately tried to contact him. She asked Secretary Du to deliver the message, but the shrine guards refused to let her in. Luckily, Ian's loyal butler arrived carrying a royal token Haiju had hidden earlier for emergencies. Since the token came directly from Ian, it immediately stopped the guards from interfering further. Just as Haiju was about to be taken away, Ian suddenly returned and angrily confronted Captain Chung. The Queen Dowager then revealed herself and accused Haiju of being involved in the palace fire. Without fear, Ian stepped in front of Haiju and declared that if they investigated her, they would have to investigate him as well. Sensing the tensions, Secretary Du secretly signaled Haiju. Ian quickly understood, lifted her into his arms as she pretended to faint, and coldly challenged the Queen Dowager to continue searching his residence if she dared. Back in the room, Ian teased Haiju for faking her collapse, but still comforted her, assuring her the Queen Dowager would not push things further. Haiju quietly felt satisfied because Ian protected her exactly as she wanted. Soon, rumors about Ian carrying Haiju spread throughout the palace, turning them into the center of a dramatic love story, while the Queen Dowager became even more jealous. People also began suspecting the Queen Dowager once had hidden feelings for Ian after her awkward reaction to seeing him shirtless. After the chaos settled, Ian and Haiju continued acting like the perfect couple in public. Ian even announced that royal guards would protect Haiju from then on, breaking palace rules to make everyone believe he truly loved her. Late at night, Haiju secretly visited Ian at the palace. To make their romance seem real, Ian climbed over a wall to meet her. Haiju brought him tea and vitamins like a caring wife, and Ian unexpectedly kissed her. Shocked, Haiju wondered if it was only for show until Ian revealed paparazzi were secretly taking photos nearby. Realizing this, she played along and asked for another kiss to make the pictures look better. The next morning, their relationship became the biggest trending topic. The royal family held an emergency meeting, and many officials criticized Haiju because of her background. To calm the scandal, the palace confirmed they were dating, but announced there were no marriage plans. Ian also refused demands to throw Haiju out of his mansion, though he was forced to move back into the palace himself. Haiju was more annoyed by the blurry kissing photo than the scandal itself. Always thinking about publicity, she joked about creating even bigger headlines, which left Ian visibly flustered. At the same time, he secretly admired her beauty and decided to fully support her instead of following the Queen Dowager's orders. Later, Ian and Haiju went on a public date to a baseball game. Haiju acted playful the entire time, while the excited crowd cheered for them to kiss after they appeared on the stadium screen. Ian teased her about making the moment more dramatic, but this time Haiju shyly refused. After the game, Prime Minister John Woo joined them for lunch, where Haiju learned how strict royal life was. John Woo warned her never to marry into the royal family, while Ian quietly defended himself. Soon rumors spread that Haiju had dragged the Grand Prince to a baseball game and fed him raw fish, making Court Lady Choi furious. The next morning, Court Lady Choi arrived to teach Haiju proper royal etiquette. But before the lecture could begin, Haiju casually answered Ian's call and drove away, leaving the angry court lady standing outside in frustration. When Haiju returned to work, Secretary Du teased her about kissing the Grand Prince. Haiju acted confident, but when she heard Ian had never dated anyone before, she became surprised that someone so inexperienced could kiss so naturally. That night, Court Lady Choi arrived at the mansion to begin strict royal training. She corrected Haiju's speech, posture, and walking, but Haiju cleverly turned things around by teaching the court lady Pilates instead. When Ian returned home, Haiju hugged him and silently begged for help, so Ian ordered Court Lady Choi to leave. Unfortunately for Haiju, the lessons continued again the next morning. During training about royal funerals, Haiju learned that Ian's mother, father, and older brother had all died in tragic incidents. At first she joked around to escape the lesson, but after reading old reports, she realized the deaths seemed suspicious. For the first time, she understood how much pain Ian had been hiding. Meanwhile, the Queen Dowager tried forcing Ian to accompany another noblewoman to an event in hopes of separating him from Haiju. Ian calmly rejected her plan and chose to attend alone. Later, Haiju encouraged him to stop hiding his ambitions and fight for what he truly wanted, making Ian feel understood and supported. Back at the mansion, the young king secretly visited Ian while Haiju was still stuck in training. She happily escaped the lessons by playing games with him, letting him enjoy a normal childhood for once. After winning, the young king asked for a ride in Haiju's red convertible, even though royal rules forbade it. Despite everyone's objections, Haiju promised to keep him safe and took him for a drive. During the ride, the young king asked her to go faster, but suddenly the car's brakes completely failed. Staying calm, Haiju avoided several crashes before finally steering into a guardrail to slow the car down. At the last second, a black car raced ahead and blocked the road, sacrificing itself to stop the runaway vehicle. After the violent crash, the injured driver stepped out covered in blood. It was Grand Prince Ian. After the accident, the Grand Consort rushed to the hospital in panic. The young king was safe, but Ian suffered a serious shoulder injury and needed emergency surgery. The Grand Consort wanted to blame Haiju, but Prime Minister John Woo stopped her, knowing a larger scandal would also involve the king. When Haiju woke up, her first concern was Ian. After learning his surgery succeeded, she hurried to his room. Ian acted weak to make her stay close, gently comforting her while showing feelings he could no longer hide. But soon after, Secretary Du warned Haiju that the accident had damaged her company's reputation and advised her to end things with Ian before things became worse. Unfortunately, John Woo overheard their conversation and learned that Haiju and Ian's relationship was originally a political arrangement. He then confessed his feelings and asked Haiju to marry him instead. Shocked, Haiju rejected him, saying she didn't want him risking his future because of her. The next day, Haiju discovered Ian had suddenly left the hospital and was ignoring all her calls. She later learned he likely overheard John Woo's confession. When she rushed to Ian's mansion, the staff coldly told her to move out and return the special ID card Ian once gave her. Later, Ian explained that the car accident investigation proved someone had intentionally damaged the brakes. To protect Haiju from further danger, he decided to end their fake relationship and pushed her away with cruel words, claiming she could never belong in the royal family. His rejection deeply hurt her. In reality, Ian was suffering alone. Haunted by memories of losing his mother in a tragic accident, he feared Haiju would face the same fate if she stayed near him. John Woo had also warned him that the only way to truly protect her was to keep her far from the dangerous royal world. Even after breaking up, Ian secretly tried to protect Haiju's dignity. He arranged for her to receive an invitation to the exclusive inner palace banquet, so the public would not blame her for their separation. However, Haiju understood the real reason behind it and stubbornly refused to attend. Although she pretended not to care by joking around with Secretary Du, it was obvious she was heartbroken over losing Ian. Haiju finally agreed to meet Ian at the palace and demanded to know why he pushed her away before calling her back. Ian confessed that he only did it to protect her from becoming a target of the royal family and the public. Furious, Haiju called him a coward and pretended to aim a bow at his beloved cat. When Ian immediately tried to protect it, she told him that real protection meant fighting back instead of running away. After wrapping his injured hand with her ribbon, she warned him never to give in to fear again. Her words deeply moved Ian, and later that night, while looking at the blooming flowers outside, he realized how much he missed her. Soon after, Ian called Haiju and insisted she attend the royal banquet. Both apologized for hurting each other, understanding they had no choice but to move forward together. As preparations began, Secretary Choi trained Haiju in strict royal etiquette, though she already knew nobles would always look down on her because of her commoner status. Before the banquet, Haiju intentionally walked behind Ian for the first time, even though she had always been someone who led others. Ian admitted he admired her confidence because he had spent his whole life standing quietly in the shadows. Haiju encouraged him to proudly stand beside her instead. When the banquet started, she shocked everyone by arriving in a sharp white suit instead of the royal dresses prepared for her. The Grand Consort was irritated and punished her by forcing her to stand under the hot sun, but everything changed when Ian arrived. In front of everyone, he proudly escorted Haiju to the front row and promised he would finally fight for himself just as she always had. That evening, Ian and Haiju entered the royal party together and instantly became the center of attention. During their graceful dance, their chemistry convinced everyone they were deeply in love. Then, in a shocking moment, Ian knelt down and proposed with his late mother's priceless ring. Emotional and overwhelmed, Haiju happily accepted as fireworks lit up the sky, and the crowd celebrated their engagement. Ian then asked the young king for his blessing, and despite the Grand Consort's silent disapproval, the king publicly approved the marriage. After the celebration ended, the furious Grand Consort ordered Prime Minister John Woo to use his political influence to stop the wedding. However, John Woo refused, explaining that the palace and government needed to remain united. Later, during the banquet, Ian danced with the Grand Consort while she warned him not to expect an easy marriage. Ian stayed calm, reminding her that the king already supported him publicly. He even hinted that he knew secrets about the late king's will, making her visibly nervous before he coolly told her to keep smiling for the guests. At the same time, Haiju danced with John Woo, who secretly loved her since school. Seeing her engagement ring hurt him deeply, but when Haiju quietly asked for his support, he promised to stay by her side as long as she never lied to him again. Later, while dancing with the Grand Consort, John Woo couldn't stop watching Haiju, making the Grand Consort quickly notice his feelings. After the banquet, Haiju happily admired her engagement ring, but Ian teased that he would take it back after their future divorce. He then admitted the ring was his late mother's precious heirloom, which his father reluctantly gave him. Seeing Ian unexpectedly emotional, Haiju chose not to press further. Sitting together quietly, the two shared a soft, romantic moment as Ian gently touched her hair. The next day, news of their engagement spread everywhere, attracting huge public attention because of their different social backgrounds. Excited by the media response, Haiju eagerly met with her PR team and asked Ian if she could continue wearing the ring. Her happiness unexpectedly made Ian smile too. Meanwhile, the Grand Consort stopped openly opposing the marriage after suspecting Ian knew the truth about the late king's final will. Years earlier, the former king had secretly planned for Ian to inherit the throne. Although a fires destroyed the evidence, she realized Ian could never truly be controlled. Allowing him to marry Haiju became her new strategy, because she believed Haiju would eventually become his weakness. At the same time, Haiju's father secretly arranged for someone loyal to watch over her inside the palace. Soon after, Haiju's brothers and sister-in-law visited, hoping she would hand over the company once she officially joined the royal family. Instead, Haiju questioned them about the brake tampering incident. Her brother revealed the suspects had already died, leaving no evidence behind. Furious, Haiju realized someone had silenced the man before the truth could be uncovered. Later, Haiju attended a carefully managed palace interview meant to improve the royal family's image. She explained that she and Ian had attended the same school years ago, but lived in completely different worlds. When asked what changed after they started dating, Haiju jokingly claimed Ian had become overly protective of her, leaving the interviewer speechless. That night, Ian watched the interview and couldn't hide his smile at Haiju's bold answers. When she returned to the Grand Prince's mansion, one maid behaved suspiciously, but Secretary Du quickly removed her. The maid was later revealed to be a spy working for the Grand Consort. Ian already knew this, but kept her there, believing another spy would simply replace her if she disappeared. The next day, Haiju visited the palace to discuss wedding plans with Ian and Prime Minister John Woo. Since the royal family had suffered years of scandals, they planned to turn the wedding into a massive public event to restore their reputation. John Woo announced the ceremony would be held with the same grandeur as a crown prince's wedding. However, during the meeting, his closeness to Haiju made Ian jealous, especially after John Woo casually mentioned their future divorce, revealing he already knew the marriage was only a contract. Later, Haiju tried to explain everything, but Ian warned her not to trust John Woo too easily. However, Haiju defended the Prime Minister, saying she trusted him more than Ian, who had abandoned her once before. She then insisted they create a written marriage contract. The two agreed on strict conditions. Their marriage would end within 3 years, Haiju would return all royal property after the divorce, and their fake relationship would remain secret forever. Just then, the Grand Consort interrupted them and invited them to a family dinner. Meanwhile, the palace assistant secretly bet on whether Ian and Haiju would truly fall in love, though most believed it was impossible because of their strong personalities. At dinner, the Grand Consort harshly criticized Ian, claiming his late father would never approve of the marriage, and even hinting that Ian was somehow tied to past royal deaths. Hurt but silent, Ian endured the insults until Haiju quietly held his hand and took him away before things became worse. Outside the palace, Haiju comforted him, and the two escaped together for the night. During the drive, Ian admitted he had spent his entire life trapped by royal rules, and that driving was the only thing that made him feel free. Haiju then brought him to her yacht, where she teased him for being overly cautious about food, and later laughed when he became seasick. After treating him, she led him to the front of the yacht so he could finally experience true freedom. As they stood together under the night sky, Haiju suddenly slipped and fell into Ian's arms. Instead of pulling away, Ian held her close and softly reminded her of her promise that he could do whatever he wanted that night. Moments later, he gently kissed her, and this time, Haiju kissed him back without hesitation.